Hey everybody, I'm Greg Soul and I'm here with another CIQ demo. Today I'm going to be showing you how to automate containers in Proxmox using Ansible and Ascender. And believe it or not, this was actually from a recommendation. I think it was a YouTube comment. So definitely, I listen. If you put that stuff out there, I listen and I will react. And so it's how do we maintain containers? I'm going to be creating them. I'm going to be starting, stopping, and deleting. It's essentially the same thing I just did with the VMware comparison to Proxmox, where I was doing it with VMs, and essentially the playbook follows almost the exact same flow and procedure, and even the configurations are almost the same. So if you want a little bit more detailed, a little bit more in-depth kind of breakdown of all that stuff, take a look at that one because essentially the steps are the same. It feels almost identical. So in here in Ascender, I have inventories, projects, credentials, all of the required components to actually perform automations. And in here I create what's called a job template. And I will type Prox because I have some Proxmox stuff in here. I have one for VM control. So this is actually the one I did the demo on previously, but I just want to show you when I launch it, it actually pops up with a survey you see right here, which gives me the ability to prompt the user for extra information. Here I have some fill in the blank as well as some drop down. I like to use multiple choice single select as much as possible. So I like doing t-shirt sizes on a lot of various things, small, medium, large. I don't usually like to let people like punch in how much RAM they want because they will use all of the RAM. So this kind of can keep those things sort of on the rails a little bit. But this is how you do a VM, right? So 3 little easy steps there. And if you want to provision a container, it is very similar. 3 easy little steps. Give me a name. What operation do you want to actually perform? We're going to do provision to begin with. And then what base template are we going to build from? So I'm going to go ahead and click next and launch on this automation. While it does that, I'm going to pop into the Proxmox interface just to take a look at it. So momentarily you'll see the, I can't remember what we called it. I think it's Rocky9-template-container should pop up here in a second. But whenever you want to add kind of those container templates in, you go into your local storage, CT templates, and you can click on the templates button. And from here, it gives you a whole bunch of various templates you can pull from. I just picked the Rocky 9 one out of the list right here. There it is, Rocky 9 default. But if you scroll down, you also see there's a bunch of turnkey ones, right? So what is a turnkey? It means it's essentially configured already for some very specific applications, right? So you see one with Ansible, Django. I think there's like just an Nginx one. So kind of a lot of different operations. You choose it, you say download, and now that template's available in the system. I can also upload a template, right? Straight from my machine if I want to, or I can say download from a URL and I can supply that URL and it will get into the system. So a really easy way to get those templates inside of there. And in my playbook, I'm essentially saying, hey, what do I want to name this thing and what template is it going to be built from? Now this template could be just the generic container template like you see here, or it could actually be cloning an existing container. So if I get a container up, I get it customized, I get it the way I want, I can actually make it a template and then just kind of have it clone based off of that. Now I can do a full clone, which will basically make a copy and paste of it, or I can do a link clone, which is really just pointing back, sort of like a snapshot style to that original container, right? That original template I'm going to be pulling from, and it's a lot faster to provision. So you can see it is up and operating here. I've got my test Rocky 9 container. I can even hit the console on it if I want to and do all those various operations you're accustomed to seeing. But say, for example, I now want to stop this container because it actually is up and running. I'm going to go into the job template again. I'm going to click launch. I will be prompted for, hey, what do I want to fill in here? I can say stop, click next and launch. And now it's going to fire off that piece of automation, connect into Proxmox and perform that stop operation. Now I did create a custom execution environment, a custom EE, which essentially when Ascender runs a piece of automation, it spins up a container, pulls all the required resources in there and executes it. And if there is some like specific Python you have to have in there, right? And this one did require a specific Python library for this Proxmox to work. I had to create that execution environment. I actually have some blog posts that kind of walk you through doing all of those steps. So it makes it a little bit easier to kind of see what's going on in there. But I digress. You can see that the container has now stopped. So our automation executed successfully. And then let's close the loop. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to launch the automation, except for provision start stop. I'm going to choose delete on that container. Next, launch. And this actually will first connect in and attempt to stop the container. Now you can stop, you can force stop. It gives you a lot of various options you can perform on there. So containers are usually pretty ephemeral, right? We're not super worried about what's going on with them. So you're probably pretty safe force stopping those things. Although this one, I can, that container that was created when I started up, I can actually make modifications in there when I shut it down and then turn it back up. All those modifications are still there, right? So it's not necessarily ephemeral in this respect. With this container itself, it actually kind of persists in the configurations therein. So now you can see that it has deleted it. So you have a quick and dirty example here of how we can actually perform automations using these. I'm going to pop over here. This is my Proxmox container playbook. You can see essentially I have at the top, fill in the blank for how do I configure this thing. Here is my create the container, start the container, stop the container, delete the container. If I look at doing the exact same thing with just VMs in Proxmox, it is create the container, or rather create the VM, start the VM, stop the VM, delete the VM. So it really follows almost the same identical steps. It's really actually pretty easy to manage. So all of this is in my public Git repository. So feel free to jump in there and take a look at that. This is the portion of the recording where I always say, if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. If you can see tweaking or tuning this or using it in some special way in your environment, would love to hear that as well. If you are interested in having us come in and help you build out and configure your Ascender environment, right? Maybe help you get your automation practice off the ground. If you need help with playbooks, we are really great at professional services as well as doing migration services, all those things. So please, 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 please reach out. We're here to help. So if nothing else, thanks, happy automating, and we'll see you next time. Bye.